WJLA 24/7 News. This is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
Well, much of the workforce has transitioned to working remotely during the pandemic, but after nearly a year, many people are still finding it a struggle to achieve that work-life balance. Well, Dave Crenshaw is a productivity consultant. He's the author of The Myth of Multitasking, How Doing It All Gets Nothing Done. And he joins us now with 4 easy steps to start separating the two. So, Dave, it's good to talk with you today. And I think most of us have discovered working from home certainly has its benefits, right? But why is it so difficult to try to strike that balance between career and family?
Well, part of it is how it happened, Melanie. We were all just thrown into this situation. Usually, if someone is going to transition to working from home, they've got a little time to prepare for it. But in this case, there was no time. So part of what we need to do is slow down and reassess how things are going.
And you have 4 very practical tips that can help all of our viewers through this. So what's the first one?
The first one is to make sure that you're finding time to separate yourself from technology. When you're staring at that glowing screen all day long, it's really hard to let go of it when the work time is over. So I recommend creating a digital sanctuary, both in terms of a place and your schedule. So maybe you just designate a special chair and you say, when I'm in that chair, I'm not going to pick up my phone. Or you say, after 9 o'clock, I always set aside my phone. So you know that you're going to count on that, and you start conditioning your brain to getting used to the idea that you don't always have to pick that device up.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding that more people are working longer hours because they're at home?
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of employers are concerned that the people who are working for them are slacking off and they're not doing work and they're monitoring people's behavior, but it's not necessary. The bigger problem is that people aren't letting go of work. So if you want better performance, you want to make sure that you're encouraging people to take breaks, to have a little fun, to relax every once in a while.
They're working more, not working less. Interesting. All right, now you say your next step is it's okay to say no. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so many people are afraid to say no when someone makes a request of them. They think that that's going to come across as I'm not being helpful. But the most successful people that I've worked with and people who are successful when working from home say no more often than they say yes. And here's why. Whenever you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else. You're saying yes to something that you already committed to doing. So one way to do a better job of saying no is to ask for a request through email if you can. So that way you can look at it, you can compare your calendar, and you can give a nice diplomatic response if and when you need to say no to them.
Next up, you say build buffer time into your day. What are we talking about here, like a coffee break at 10 or at 3?
Yeah, Melanie, I'm actually talking about time for nothing. Because, as I talk about in my book, The Myth of Multitasking, our days are just crammed too tightly now. And when you try to do multiple things at the same time, everything takes longer. So we live in a world where interruptions are going to happen. So we have to respect that and say, rather than having meetings back to back to back to back, leave a little room between them to breathe, to reassess things, to, just take care of being a human being. And then if the interruption doesn't happen, it feels like you've got bonus time.
And this is important, protecting your boundaries. I guess, telling the kids when my office door is closed, don't come in, I'm working. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and this is not a background. This is my actual office. I've been working from home for 20 years. I've got 3 children, and I understand that I have to have boundaries on both sides, meaning they need to know that when it's time to work or do an interview like this, you're not going to come in and interrupt. But then I respect my boundaries with them. So I say, hey, I am going to stop work at this time every day. And at that point, I'm going to give you 100% of my attention. So because I respect that boundary with them, they respect that boundary with me. Work-life
balance. It's a beautiful thing when it happens. Dave Crenshaw, he's a productivity consultant, and you can check out his book. It's called The Myth of Multitasking, How Doing It All Gets Nothing Done. Love that title. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Melanie.